I used to think I lived in a safe neighborhood. Quiet streets, kids riding bikes, people waving as they mowed their lawns. The kind of place where nothing bad was supposed to happen. That was before the man in the window. It started small. I'd be getting ready for bed and noticed the blinds across the street were open. Just a sliver, with a pale face behind them. At first, I thought maybe it was a trick of the light, but then it kept happening. Night after night, at almost the exact same time. I'd glance out my window, and there he'd be, watching. At first, I told myself it was harmless. People look out windows all the time. Maybe he was bored, maybe he couldn't sleep. But then I noticed something that made my stomach twist. He wasn't looking out at the street. His eyes weren't scanning around. They were fixed directly on me. I told my parents, of course, but my mom just sighed. "Sweetheart, you watch too many crime shows." My dad peeked once, shrugged, and said, "Probably just an old guy zoning out. Don't freak yourself out over nothing." So I tried to ignore it. Until one night I was brushing my teeth and leaned close to the mirror. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw it. The blinds across the street were fully open. He wasn't just standing there anymore. He had binoculars pressed to his face. He was staring straight at me. I froze. My heart slammed so hard against my ribs, I thought it might burst out of my chest. I backed away from the window, crawled into bed, and pulled the covers over my head like a little kid. I barely slept a second. The next morning, I convinced myself it was paranoia. Maybe he was birdwatching at night. Ridiculous, but less terrifying than the alternative. I even joked about it to my buddy at school. He laughed and said, "Maybe he's your secret admirer." But that night, when I got home, there was an envelope on our porch. No name, no stamp, just sitting there. Inside was a single Polaroid picture of me, taken through my bedroom window. My knees buckled, my vision blurred. I wanted to scream, but the sound got stuck in my throat. I shoved the photo into my backpack and didn't tell anyone. Who would believe me? My parents already thought I was imagining things, so I decided to set a trap. That night, instead of getting ready for bed in my room, I set up a lamp and hung a hoodie over a chair by the window. From across the street, it would look like me sitting there. I hid in my closet, my phone recording through a crack in the door. For an hour, nothing happened. My pulse slowed. Maybe I really was going crazy. But then, I saw it. The blinds across the street shifting. The man leaned forward, staring, his face pale and hungry in the glow of his lamp. And then I noticed something that made my skin crawl. He wasn't just watching, he was writing. His hand moved slowly across a notebook, eyes never leaving my window, like he was cataloging me, a scientist with a specimen. Then he raised his hand and waved. Not just waved, he curled his fingers, beckoning, like he wanted me to come closer. I stopped the recording and showed my parents the next morning. I thought this would finally convince them. My mom's face went pale, but my dad shook his head. "You edited this. Don't make up stories just because you're scared of a neighbor." I couldn't believe it, so I showed my best friend instead. He believed me instantly and offered to sleep over. That night, we both waited by the window, phones ready. Sure enough, the blinds opened. He was there again, but this time, something was different. He wasn't alone. There was a little girl in his room. She looked terrified, clutching a teddy bear, eyes darting everywhere but at the window. He put his hand on her shoulder, and she flinched. We both gasped, and then, as if he heard us across the street, his head snapped toward my house. The blinds slammed shut. We called the police that night, shaking as we described everything. At first, they didn't take it seriously. Neighbor disputes aren't exactly high priority, but when we showed them the Polaroid, the video, and mentioned the girl, their faces changed. They sent officers immediately. The next morning, the whole street was swarming with cops. They pulled the man out in handcuffs. He didn't resist, didn't even look surprised, like he'd been expecting it. And then they brought the girl out. She was maybe 10 years old, crying into a blanket. She wasn't his daughter. She wasn't even related. She'd been missing for 3 weeks. I thought I'd feel relief. Instead, I felt sick, because if I hadn't noticed, if I'd listened to my parents and ignored it, that girl might never have been found. The man's house is empty now, curtains drawn, for sale sign in the yard. But sometimes, when I look out at night, I swear I still see movement in that upstairs window. And I'll never forget the way he waved at me, like I wasn't a person to him, just prey.